to Kombucha, kombucha, something like that. Besides being really nerdy with the camera, I have a real passion for fermentation, and kombucha is a healthy, fun, and really easy thing that you can ferment in your spare time, along with sauerkraut, sour cream, wine, beer, root beer, ginger beer, all manner of other things. A lot of people think that the colony growing on the top of a kombucha jug is a mushroom, but it's not a mushroom. It's known as a SCOBY, a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast, or more technically, a zoogleit mat. But we like to just call it the mother, the baby, whatever you want to go with here. But SCOBY is the term that I'm going to use for most of my presentation. The main bacteria that's found in kombucha is acetic acid or acetobacter, also combined with a domesticated yeast of one strain or another. There's lots of them. This is a really good close-up of them. The high acid in kombucha prevents a lot of contamination, and it also prevents the yeast from producing too much alcohol, so it's not an alcoholic beverage. Traditional Chinese medicine has some references way back in 200 BC to something, a magical tea that could make you live forever, but technically, historically, we've got only written records of kombucha back to 19th century Russia. So someplace in there we have to make this tie one place or the other. Kombucha's been credited with a ton of health benefits, everything from being able to prevent cancer to detoxifying the body and improving skin elasticity. But what I know for sure is it's loaded with B vitamins. It does provide an energy boost, especially if you don't do caffeine on a regular basis. And it is being explored right now for the glucaic acid content, which is something that helps your liver function more efficiently, and people are looking into it right now separately as a cancer preventative. Last year, a lot of commercial kombucha got taken off the shelves because they didn't test for slightly higher alcohol content, and it's usually under 0.5%, but if you drink some commercial kombucha, you might have noticed it was up at 2 or 3%, and they took it off the shelves for a while. And if you want to talk to me later, I can tell you how to avoid that or promote it. However, just like anything that you start taking as a supplement or for any other reason, you want to experiment, trying about an ounce and gradually increasing over days or weeks to see how your body handles it. People on hormone therapy or any other kind of pre-diagnosed medical condition want to watch out for it. In general, though, it's easy. You need a pot, your tea, your sugar, your water, the mother, the SCOBY unit, about 8 ounces of already made kombucha tea. You can buy it, you can make it from a previous batch. A jar, a coffee filter, and a rubber band to keep the coffee filter. You want to keep those bugs out. It also helps to know somebody who's really excellent at kombucha. So I'm promoting Eddie here, thehappyherbalist.com. He's an acupuncturist, and he practices traditional Chinese medicine, and he's super helpful. I bought my first mother from him online, and he's been willing to send me free things and help me out and answer questions, and I'll send him pictures of weird stuff all the time. He's a really great guy. Sometimes things don't go right. Ugly kombucha is good kombucha. There's yeast beards and funky colors and stuff floating in it, and that's good. The only thing you really ever have to watch out for is actually straight up regular mold, fuzzy mold growing on top of the actual colony. And if you have that, you want to get rid of it. This is a good brew right here. This is one I have going at home right now. It's tea-colored. The mother's floating in there. There's actually a couple in this one. And the baby SCOBY you can see is growing where the oxygen and the tea meet. And that colony is going to grow thicker and thicker depending on the temperature I keep it at and the acid content. So I brew 3-4 batches at once because it's so easy and my heating mat is that big. And you can use rooibos tea or white tea or green tea or black tea. Different varieties of tea will give you a different flavor. The most important thing is to do when you're growing kombucha, the only thing that some people fall off on is just keeping it at a steady temperature and leaving it alone. When it's done, you can bottle it, drink it right out of the jug. You can choose to drink it sweeter when it's new, or you can let it grow and go further until it's almost really vinegary. You can flavor it and add a little more sugar, bottle it and carbonate it, or you can drink it flat. When you finish a batch, this is what your SCOBY colony, sometimes should look like. You pull it off the top, stick it in a new batch of tea, and then you can let it go again. It's oftentimes slippery and slimy, and it's really impossible to rip apart. It seems like it would just fall apart, but it doesn't. If you get too much kombucha, sometimes you have to put it in a jar, fill it with liquid, and stick it in the fridge until you can figure out what to do with it. This is what I was doing right there. I have about a dozen jars in my fridge right now, and Every now and then, I'll have a batch go moldy, or I'll have a friend whose mother doesn't make it. So another option is a SCOBY hotel, which is what this is. It's liquid filled with as many units of colony as you can possibly fit. You can let that sit at 90 days at room temperature, and they'll be just fine. They're not dormant in this case, which they are in the fridge. They take a little longer to get going. And these you could just plop in a batch of tea. You can compost it. My compost pile loves my extra kombucha colonies. It's oftentimes the farthest along spot. When I turn my compost, I'll open it up and I'll look in it, and it'll just be a circle where my SCOBY colony was. And so it's really excellent for your compost, and you can make them prolifically. Or you can give them to your puppy. They're actually full of vitamins that dogs really need, though. Just like with people, you want to start off small. Get them a small chunk, see if they even like it. Bo would eat them whole, but we have to keep them, limited, because some dogs won't, some dogs just will eat anything, but some people also don't like kombucha. This is actually a picture of my husband drinking a batch that I thought was delicious, that he thought was too vinegary. So always let your friends, maybe give them a warning first if they're going to try something new, and to each his own, I guess. I happen to like really strong vinegary kombucha, and I'll do a secondary ferment with mint and ginger. That's the best flavor, made of rooibos tea. And if you want to learn more about kombucha or make your own, I'm teaching a class at Harmony next month. If you'd like to ask me questions any other time, see me around town. I'm out all the time, and I love to make it, and I'd love to share it with somebody else.